I don't cook. My kids
Okay.
are lucky they're alive at this rate.
We all start blogging with a message, but just like with anything, that message evolves as our blog grows. So my original message was homesteading, and my now, what do you want to call it? My evolved message is helping people do more no matter where they live, whether that be in the city or in the country or with a family or empty nesters. Whereas before it was just plain old homesteaders out back in rural America. And it's completely evolved since then. So it is good that you take a step back and look at your brand. What is your message? What is your niche? Does your blog resemble that? If someone comes to your blog, will they know what your blog is about? Will they know what your brand is about? Is your message clear? Is it straightforward? Is it confusing? Is it easy for them to understand? Does your email, your blog, your social media, is everything cohesive? So if someone went to your Facebook page or your Instagram page or your Pinterest page, would they know what your message is just as easily as if they were at your blog? Things need to be cohesive. They need to flow together because your brand isn't just your blog, it's everything as one. So you want to make things flow and work together and complement each other. So if you listed everything on a Google Doc, your blog, final thing that we want you guys to plan out for the next quarter is brand goals. And this is big because I think a lot of people overlook this part. Your Facebook page, your Pinterest page, your Instagram page, your YouTube channel, whatever it is the message all the same and easy to see on all of those? And then maybe take a little time to just let things flow a little more because it's a package deal. Our businesses are a package. They're not just a blog with these few social media things. It's a package deal. It all goes together and it's all one thing, one living thing.
I made a visual aid.
Drawing. Okay, let's see it.
Of course I was. What else would I be doing but drawing something? This is the story of my life, guys. So this is like super rudimentary, but it's really important to remember that everything comes back to like 5 things. And if it's not 5, then it can be 4. But I don't think that it should be more than 5. So in my blog, I talk about money, which is a super general topic. I talk about ways to save, frugality, how to make money from home, business, and blogging. I talk about all of those things under this particular topic. Once you have your 5 different things that you're going to be talking about. Now, we've been taught that it was called pillar content. And it just helps to see it like that.
I think it still is pillar content.
Yeah. If your business is a building, what do you need to hold up the roof? Pillars. So that's what each one of these different things is talking about. That's what your brand comes back to. What are the 5 things that you talk about on your blog, in your business? If you are struggling to figure out what it is that your brand is, because for both of us, it would have been super easy to say, I talk about money. Tracy talks about homesteading. It's like, okay, but that's not explaining the breadth and depth of what it is that we talk about and what we're passionate about. So like there's so many different other money bloggers and homesteaders out there that talk about similar things, but it's not exactly the same. Because if we boil it down to what are our 5 things that we feel passionately about inside of our business, if we had to write out 5 sentences, and you can do this and hold your paper like this, write out 5 sentences about your business. What would you say? If you had to sum up your business in 5 sentences, I help women who boink, 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 and boink. I help people who blank. I help people with blank. Those different kinds of things are all the things that are building up your brand. It's what you talk about. It's what comes naturally. You're going to be saying a lot of the same things over and over and over again. And here's something that I thought was really interesting. If you're saying the same things over and over and over again, it means you're on the right track. It means that you know what it is that you're talking about. It means that you know what it is that your brand and your business are for. You will know what it is, who you are attracting, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to bring in. You are bringing in the people who relate to these different things that are all basically under the same general umbrella of your blog and business. Does
Yeah,
that
and
make
here's the thing, if you're not sure what your message is, if as you evolved as a blogger, your message kind of got muddied or lost in the growth, then go over to the members area, because I think it's module 1 where we talk about your niche and your avatar. And even though your avatar isn't so much what the core focus of your blog is, it will get you into the right mindset.
Yeah.
So it becomes clearer. It's hard to see things as the owner when
Mhm.
you're trying to come up with the message for the reader. So when
Yeah.
you start going back to who is my avatar, it will help you to refine your message, to know what your message is. So
Yeah.
maybe that's something you might want to do, Wendy, just to get yourself back where you need to be. Go look at the who is your avatar, find your perfect reader.
Yeah.
And that might help you focus in on what your message truly is. And sometimes, I mean, when I was making the transition from backwoods homesteader to urban homesteader, I did kind of struggle with my message in the meantime. But
Yeah.
it as that message evolved, everything evolved. As my
Yeah.
blog evolved, my message evolved. They
Mhm.
kind of go hand in hand. So don't think,
Yeah.
yeah, I have no idea what my message is. I don't even want to think about it. You need to know your core message is so that you know what content to create. So when I went from backwoods homesteader, because that's just the easiest way to explain it, to where I am now, and that's homesteading no matter where you live, that brought in new content: how to start a garden in the city, how to start a garden in the kitchen, hydroponic gardening, indoor gardening systems. It opened up all these different content areas so that it allowed me to bring my message more up front and center, attracting more readers that pertain to.
Yeah. It's a process, guys. And I mean, like, we could look back at our first blog post and you would be like, oh my gosh, don't nobody read this, nobody look at it. Like, it's so bad. But that's because we've evolved and our message has evolved and grown over time. When you're first starting, it's easy for the waters to get muddied. Like, you don't know what your message is. You know, you have ideas that you want to share with people, but it's kind of like word vomit, where you're like, I don't know what's going to come out. I have this. And it's just like bleh, onto the page, right? So you're not clear on what it is that you want to talk about or who you're trying to
It
call
helps you with
in.
focus.
It does. But at the same time, like, when you are shifting, when you are growing, you might, and I'm reading the comment, you might realize that you aren't liking your original avatar. So let me tell you about my original avatar and how I'm trying to move away from her. Because here was the problem is, and I've told Tracy this, Tracy knows my struggle, is that I was bringing in a lot of people who were lack mindset. So it was, oh, woe is me. I don't have money. Life is terrible. And that was the people who I was bringing in subconsciously from my posts. And I was like, I don't want to talk to those people anymore. Not because I don't have a heart for them, but because they don't want to grow. That was my problem, was I was only bringing in people who were the freebie seekers, who were just there for the quick freebie. Like, ooh, this is a $47 value and I'm getting it for free. Oh my gosh. And then that would be the end of it. And they're not actually going to do the work. They're not actually going to buy from me. And that was the problem. It wasn't necessarily the money, but it was that they didn't want to grow. It was that they didn't want to take that next step.
Which is such a small aspect, but a completely different person.
And that was the shift that I needed to make, was from a lack mindset to talking about frugality and finances in a way that was, this is temporary setback. It is only up and up from here. Here's how we can work so that you can see frugality as a good thing, as a way to grow, as not a, oh, woe is me, budgets are hard because it's limiting, but it's saying yes to things. And so my messaging changed that way. And now I have an avatar that I love, that I am stoked to talk to because she's where I am mentally. That was the thing.
So when Caroline made her switch, it's just something I really want to say here. It doesn't mean that what she did was she changed her voice in her post, in her messaging, in her social media, and that attracted her new person.
Yep.
So that meant her original person was no longer being attracted. So what she did was she changed her messaging, and after a certain amount of time, she then went in, this is the action part, into ConvertKit and cleaned out her list, removing that person that was no longer a part of her messaging, changed her focus. So she didn't delete content. She didn't delete anything that way. She just shifted her focus, allowed people to drop off naturally,
Yeah.
and then went in and cleaned out her email list. So it's a
Mhm.
process. You change your
Yeah.
content, you let people fall away naturally, you clean out the people that are no longer opening her emails, and you keep taking those steps as you move on to the new focus of your avatar.
Even more so than that, it was I changed my opt-in. My opt-in used to be how to like 10 ways to be more frugal. And it was like that's great and all, but the problem was in a post about how to be an extreme cheapskate, talking about frugality had a different connotation. It was from a lack mindset. It was, and by lack mindset, I mean there's not ever enough money. There will never be enough money. I need to hold on to it with tight fists, or the floor is going to come out from underneath of me. And those were the kinds of people that I was attracting. So what I had to do was take the freebies that I was giving from like this huge value stack of like, look at how much you're getting, to being super small, super targeted, super specific to where they wanted to go. It was changing your money mindset. It was finding ways to save money and to be more excited about saving money. And I didn't have to go back through and change the posts from how to be an extreme cheapskate, because that post does really well. I can't go back through that and get rid of that because it does really well. What I can do is change my opt-ins so that all of the people who are reading that post every day are going to see this opt-in. And if you resonate with something positive about money, you're going to sign up for that opt-in. But if you're like, oh no, I don't need to hear about money mindset, I just need to know how to cook more beans and rice because there's never enough money, that's fine. I've got a post on beans and rice and how to cook it. You don't have to be on my email list if all you're going to do is woe is me.
No, and I think that's a huge point to remember. Is you have to put these things into action. The idea is fine, but you have to give your reader a way to get on your list, your new focus person. So I'm glad you said that, because that's big. I do want to back up to this comment, and this is from Karina. She said, I'm wondering if I need to change my entire site because I know I need to pivot. Here's the thing. If you're pivoting, you should not need to change your entire site. You just need to change going forward. But if you're doing a 180, that's different. Pivot just means going off into a slightly different direction. Mm-hmm. So if you could clarify a bit by what you meant by that, if it's just a slight pivot, then do what Caroline's suggesting, write the new content, make the new opt-ins, attract the new person, let the original people you were writing to find help in your older content.
When we talk about like the difference between pivoting versus changing your entire site, I mean like your original site, and this is always my favorite random thing. If your original site was talking about high-end fashion from Paris Fashion Week, and next month you want to talk about how to do dog training,
that's a 180.
That's like that. There's 180, and then you're talking about apples and eggplants. Like they're so different. But if you're going from like, I like my money, I talk about money. I talk about finances for women. Mm-hmm. That's a nice broad umbrella. If I wanted to start talking more about entrepreneurship and business on my site, it would still make sense, and I would call that a pivot. But if tomorrow I wanted to talk about dog training, I would have to start a new site, because it's just
no. And that's a really good point to make. So that helps you differentiate what exactly we're talking about when it comes to your message.
Yeah.